let me ask you this, Dan. In the meantime, you are in hell. So who would be your roommate?
So if it's actually hell and the premise is I'm there for purposes of eternal torment, it would be Pat Robertson. Like, no questions asked. Because like I have nothing in common with the man, but also he is the devil incarnate. Like if the devil is real, he exists as Pat Robertson did on Earth. So that Pat Robertson probably would be my pick for this particular prompt. Last week we asked, you are in hell, and who is your roommate? I was excited to see what the answers of this one would be. And I think there's some pretty good ones here. So let's read our top 3 answers from last week. Number 3 is from Mr. Colby II, who says, my roommate is Eddie Van Halen, and turn it up to 11. Would be 10 times better than listening to hymns all day and night in heaven, which is true. I mean, like, it seems like all the cool people do go to hell. I don't know. Do you agree with that, Richard? Do you think that's
true? I think it'd be
so?
more interesting having Steve Vai, though, because he did the guitar work for the film Crossroad, which was all about the devil, someone selling the soul to the devil to become a great guitar player. So I'd personally choose Steve Vai over Eddie Van Halen. But great answer.
Yeah. You always make deals with the devil. Can we make deals with God? Is that a thing too? I don't know. Is there some sort of exchange that could be made? I don't know. That's for theologians to decide. But number 2 comes from Diana Bender, who says, I am in hell and my roommate is Mother Teresa. Ooh, that would be really bad to have Mother Teresa as a roommate. She'd probably be very she'd probably just curse you out if you did anything that she didn't like. She'd probably be really mad at stuff. I don't know. Probably wouldn't be a fun time.
Yeah, especially if you were ill, she'd just encourage you to embrace your suffering rather than giving you medicine.
That's a good point. If she saw you burning, she's like, you just need to embrace it. It's like a good thing. And I would be like, no, that's not true. I need a Tylenol, at least, if I'm burning. Probably need more, but at least that. Number 1 comment, though, comes from RC Blazer, who says, nobody tell God, but I am deathly afraid of Audrey Hepburn being my roommate in hell. Which is like really great. Like, oh no, not Audrey Hepburn, anybody but her. Like, yeah, that's pretty funny.
Wrong answers only. Get the ball rolling here for us, Jamie. Why is God hiding from us?
Because if we ever find him, he got some splaining to do.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah, he'll have to ask our forgiveness in that way. I'll piggyback on that and say because he's a big fan of hide and seek and wants to be the best. I don't know.
The very best. Like
the very best.
Mm-hmm.
So last week we asked you wrong answers only. Why is God hiding from us? And our top 3 answers were pretty good. So in 3rd place from this past week was J. Ray Redden, says, don't predators always hide from their prey? Which this is a great one, seeing as kind of what we're going to be talking about in a little bit. But what are your thoughts on this one, Kirsty?
I mean, it hits. I appreciate a little bit of snark early in the day, like at the beginning of the broadcast. I'm here for it.
And number 2 is Jason Katz that says, God isn't hiding. He just goes to a different universe. In Canada, you wouldn't know him.
Solid work.
I love this one. The your girlfriend in Canada that you
right.
Yeah.
She couldn't come. She's busy modeling. She couldn't make it to this middle school dance.
Yeah, I promise. She's absolutely real. Just she lives in Canada and goes to a different school and all of that. And in first place, we have Scottisheer saying, why is God hiding from us? He owes Mary 2,000 years in child support. He wholly ghosted her. There are multiple.
That's a twofer joke.
Right. Like there are multiple puns in here. And I love this. Any other thoughts on this one?
I only that this is great work, and I really appreciate everything that the audience puts together on these. This has been a really fun segment for the last several months.
So this week's prompt is, what is an inappropriate thing to say at a religious funeral? Now this is a spicy one. Yeah. Okay, I don't even know. I don't even know if I have a good answer for this, but I think you had a really good one for this. What would you say is an inappropriate thing to say at a religious funeral?
He is risen.
Oh, that's so bad. It's so bad. I don't know. I can't be bad. I can't think of anyone for this, but we want to know what you guys think. So leave a comment below. Last week's question we asked was,
What is inappropriate to say at a religious funeral? This was a hot question to ask. Was a little nervous about some of the responses, but we have our top 3 responses for you here. Number 3 comes from Arl Turner, who says, sorry, that's Ari Turner. My contacts are not in right again, and I got to work with that. But anyway, it says, inappropriate thing to say at a religious funeral. I'm sure he's down below screaming up at us, which is really funny.
That's an old George Carlin reference.
Is it George Carlin? That sounds like
It
a
is.
George Carlin thing. Okay. All right. I'm knocking off points for stealing from George Carlin, but you know what? Maybe George Carlin is screaming up at us, telling us we're stealing his jokes. So regardless of that, number 2 comes from Kirkin Emp, who says, inappropriate thing to say at a Christian funeral. We are gathered here today on this joyous occasion to celebrate the passing of the deceased. May we all join him soon. Which is very funny. I don't know. I like that one. Number 1 comes from Miranda Rensberger, who also had the number 3 and number 1 comment on Truth Wanted the other day, by the way. It said, inappropriate thing to say at a religious funeral. Let's give it 3 days and see if it takes, which is awesome. Well, very good. These are great answers. These are better than I was very afraid of the answers to the question last week. But we ended up getting some really good ones for you. The prompt for next week is name a lesser known reason why God smites people. So please enter your question below in the video comment section. And next week we will reveal the top 3 answers. But before I move on, Emma, what do you think? What would be a lesser known reason why God smites people? Do you know any?
Yeah. Oh, it was so many. Swiping Tinder in church is a big
Swiping Tinder in church is a good one. Oh man, yeah. But what if you're like looking for I know a very devout Christian man who met his wife on Tinder.
Oh, it's allowed. Yeah, just not in church.
Just not in church. Okay, okay, that's fair. That's fair because that's like, that's the holy time. You know what I mean? You don't want to be having impure thoughts while you're
no.
sitting God.
You go wife hunting when church is over.
Right. You've got to find your Tinderella outside of the big man's house.
The question was, what are some of the lesser known reasons for God to smite somebody? So our number 3 favorite answer is from Christopher Brzezinski. Smiting shall happen for putting ketchup on steak. I think that's fair. But how about you?
Yeah, that is a crime against humanity, putting ketchup on a steak. But, one of our other hosts, Katie Montgomery, would say probably even along the same lines as putting mayo on anything, which I wholeheartedly disagree with that.
Yeah, no. Let's not get carried away with the smiting because mayo is delicious.
Absolutely. We are pro mayo here today, and Katie can go back and watch this later and tell us we're wrong in the comment section.
Well, glad to know we're on the same team. Our number 2 favorite answer this week came from Loki2240. Lesser known reason a God smites people, putting the toilet paper roll so it unrolls from the back. And
I agree with this one.
Yeah, I have never understood the toilet paper debate. It's right up there for me with like pineapple on pizza. Like it's been discussed, it's been done. I don't understand what everybody's so upset about.
You think you don't care which way the toilet paper roll goes, or are you saying that there's an objectively
I feel like I can
answer?
work it out. No, I can work it out one way or another. Like if there is toilet paper present, so long as it's not wadded up on the floor, and let's be honest, sometimes even that.
Yeah, okay. So, I disagree with you a little bit because I think that there is an objectively correct answer here, and it is so that the roll opens like towards you.
Good to peek a little bit at your moral philosophy. I hope
Yes.
we have some callers interested in challenging how you got to that answer. How do you know, Ben?
Yeah, we will do some street epistemology about my toilet paper preferences. That's coming next.
Well, and our favorite answer this week came from Juk Gaidos. He says that the best way, or one lesser known way to be smited by God, is just asking people, who made God? It invites a smiting because God hates it when Christians start to think.
This is true. This is absolutely true.
Our prompt for this week is write a slogan for Satan.
Yeah.
What do you got? We're looking for best answers in the comments section. How about from you?
So if I was Satan's campaign manager, the slogan would be the lesser of two evils. I mean, I think it pretty much writes itself. You know, when you look at the records of the candidates. Yeah, that's where I would go.
Hey, Satan hasn't genocided anybody that I'm aware of.
Nope.
So that goes a long way.
Clean hands.
Yeah.
And last week we asked you to write a slogan for Satan. And we have 3 amazing answers here. So in third place, our answer from Grace Gordon says, great slogan for Satan is got sins, which I want to see. Maybe if this ended up on one of our fancy limited edition t-shirts, I think that would be absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, it's nice and snappy and short as well. We like that one.
Yeah, number 2 is from Belter GLJ. Their slogan for Satan is murdered way fewer people than God, which it's funny. And also it's like funny in a very true way that you're like, yeah, it's like I'm laughing, but I also feel bad that I'm laughing at that. And number 1 from Sydney Raptor, slogan for Satan, worship me or go to heaven. And that's also funny in kind of a true way. What are your thoughts on those?
Yeah, I think that last one's, I think it's really funny because depending on how you picture heaven, and of course, different people, different believers picture it in different ways. But if you kind of take the theological representation that you're just going to be praising God for eternity, I think I'd rather be sat at the barbecue downstairs, if I'm honest, rather than doing that, because that sounds really, really tedious and boring. And forever is an exceptionally long, long time.
Wrong answer is only when God looked down on his creation, he saw it was blank. Okay, so that's the prompt for this week. Let us know wrong answer is only when God looked down on his creation, he saw it was blank. Leave your comments below. We'll pick the top 3 and we'll read them for next week, and it should be a good time. But before I move on, Jamie, what do you think he said?
I think that God looked down at his creation and saw that it hadn't gone through enough testing, but if he threatened or at least bribed the users enough, then they probably wouldn't complain.
And last week we asked you, God looked down on his creation and saw it was blank. So the top 3 answers were number 3, rage of heaven. When God looked down on his creation, he said, oops. I like that one, Ben. What do you think of that?
Oh, that's a great one. And if you've seen some of the shorts that I've been part of on this channel, that's how I think God probably would respond to most of the human body and other animals that he's created, because it's pretty messed up.
Yeah, absolutely is. Number 2 is Jordan Moore, question of the week. God looked down on his creation and saw it was horny. Not so much at my age, but certainly in many, many cases, you younglings, Ben, I'm sure you're horny all the time.
Oh, yeah, and people here know that I'm a trans guy, and so I can tell you testosterone does make a difference in how horny you are. So just throwing that out there. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that's why God had to put the restrictions on what you can do with your body, because he knows he made you to be horny, and then it's just like, no, you can't do anything about it. Sorry.
Yeah. Number 1 is brain dead. Or maybe not be brain dead, but that is their moniker. When God looked down at his creation, he said the following: 7.8 out of 10. Too much water. Yeah, we've taken a few calls about that one over the years, haven't we, Ben?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so this week we would like to know, if you had your own circle of hell, what would the punishment be? So, Sim, if you had your own circle of hell, what would go on there? Would it be fun?
That's what I was I was thinking about this question, and I was like, okay, do you mean for it to be like something that's actually like awful and torturous, or like if I was the designer, what I would do? Because I think my circle of hell would basically be like just the biggest queer orgy ever, like of all So all of us, queer souls that got sent to hell, we would just be, fucking every single one of us. But the thing, what makes it hell for the evangelicals who are definitely getting sent there, is that they have to watch and participate in the queer orgy. So
last week we asked, if you had your own circle of hell, what would your punishment be? So these are awesome, and I am excited. Number 3, Chuck Gato says, in my circle of hell, in my circle of heaven, you get to toast marshmallows. My circle of hell is the same place, but you are a marshmallow. That's pretty intense, honestly. I don't know about that. I think I would take being a marshmallow just by itself, though. Maybe not the toasting part. Number 2, we've got from Blake Walker. My circle of hell would be having everybody sit on clouds, playing harps and singing praises to Yahweh for all eternity. Yeah, I agree with that, Blake. Yeah, that does not sound like a good time. And finally, number 1 for last week, we've got Marcel Janssens says, version of hell where you actually have to read the software user agreements you checked okay on. Now that is diabolical, Marcel. That is diabolical. Yeah, if that is what hell is, I might convert, folks. I might convert. I'm not doing that.
It's an infinite hell.
Yeah, right. That's terrible. Hey, some of those user agreements do feel like they're eternity. Like, how do you pack that much? It doesn't matter. We're not going to do it. We're not going to go into that.
Here is this week's question. If you have an answer for it, comment below. It is, what is a little known reason God sends people to hell? So go ahead and answer below in the comment section, not the live chat, comment section, and we will reveal the top 3 answers. But before we do that, what do you think is a little known reason?
So, I don't claim to be a Gnostic in many ways, but I know this one thing, that there is a special place in hell for people who say the words, I could care less, when they mean that they couldn't care less.
Yeah, that is, a grammatical trope that I often fall into as well, but
there aren't enough German suplexes in the world for these people.
Well, I mean, I don't know. If you want to suplex me, if I do that today, you're more than welcome to. But
I'm not a fighter. I'm a bleeder.
Yeah, I get you. I don't know. When I'm thinking of this, I'm thinking of people who don't wash out, or people who don't put recycling in the recycling and then put it in the trash instead. And to be fair, again, that's something that I do sometimes as well. But it's like, oh, that's such a little thing. I think if there's enough of people like you, then the whole system doesn't work.
Falls apart.
Last week we asked you, what is a little known reason God sends people to hell? Mm-hmm. Number 3 was Polly Pockets. What is a little known reason God sends people to hell? There's a special place in hell for people who write, "You're an idiot, YOUR," in comment sections on social media. Dan, what's your opinion on that one?
I like that. First of all, this person's name is Polly Pockets, which is awesome. And I like how they're commenting about specific places in hell in which people should go to because of their lack of grammar. But what if English isn't their first language or something? There has to be some sort of tiered system there. That's all I'm saying.
A tiered system indeed. I like that. Yeah. Number 2 is Christine C. Blocking a parking space or scratching someone's car because one is too lazy to return their shopping cart. Definitely a reason for hell for those people.
It's true. Like if you think about people's ability to be compassionate to each other, a shopping cart is the greatest example because it's absolutely no cost to you. Make maybe extra 5-10 seconds of your time, and that should be the arbiter by which you're a good person or not, is if you put your shopping cart up. So I'm all right with that.
Absolutely. Number 1 is avert a love. A little known reason God sends people to hell: pouring milk in a bowl and then pouring the cereal in.
I object to this. Okay. I say don't knock it until you try it. Okay. The cereal tastes different when you do that. I'm not saying I do that every time. I'm just saying you got to mix it. It's about the spice of life, Richard. You got to mix things up every once in a while. It
is not something I have tried. I've always put my cereal first. Maybe I'll have to tempt Satan to send me to hell by doing that. But I need to know Ben's answer to this question. So complete the sentence, Ben. I know we aren't intelligently designed because...
And I have way too many answers for this one. So I'm going to pick one of my favorites, and that is the human skull. So if we imagine God creating humans, and just imagine this thought process going on in his mind of, I need to give humans an organ that controls all their other organs, probably the most important organ in their body. So I'm going to give them a brain, and I need something to protect this brain. So, okay, we're going to put a giant cage of armor around this brain. Cool, great. Sounds like a great plan. So how does it stay in the skull? Well, we're not going to hold the brain down with any like ligaments or anything like we do with other structures in the human body. We're just going to let it float freely in water and just hope it suspends properly. Okay, cool. So then what if somebody is moving too fast and that fluid moves around and then the brain moves around in the skull? No, that's fine. Don't worry about it. So shouldn't we pad the inside of the skull then, so that if the brain hits the side, that it won't be damaged? No, I'm actually going to put spikes in the front of it so that if the brain moves, it's going to run into those spikes. Great plan. Absolutely great plan. And this is how we get concussions, everybody. Concussions are God's fault.
Last week we asked you, complete the sentence, I know we aren't intelligently designed because. And now we're going to show you our top 3 answers. So number 3 from Less Than Lucid says, we know the human body isn't intelligently designed because humans are chock full of anxiety. And that's true. We're like anxious about a lot of stuff.
And basically a clear plastic bag full of vanilla pudding and anxieties, basically.
Yeah, vanilla pudding and anxiety. That's a good way to sum it up. So yeah, that's one reason that we can consider, but we also have 2 other ones. We got our number 2 answer from Craig Thompson, who says, we are not intelligently designed because we have to cut the tip of our pens off. So, that's true.
Do we?
I mean, I guess. I don't know. To be honest, it's been a while since I do a lot of stuff on the computer. I don't really do that. So that's I don't talk about pens. Anyway, that's a joke. But so that's another way to think about this. But our number 1 answer comes from Cnault, who says, we know the human body is not intelligently designed because, hang on, I'll finish this post after I clean my glasses. So, yeah, there is that.
That speaks to me.
Yeah, I'm sure that does. I'm like having contact issues right now, too, so I might join you in the blind department today, at least for one of my eyes, because I also have very terrible vision. This week's prompt is going to be headline a Bible story using Florida Man. I'm going to be honest. This may be like one of the top 5 best prompts we've done. We need really good answers from you guys. Okay, so headline a story using Florida Man in your comment this week, and we might read it out for next week and pick the top 3 answers. Do you have a good headline for this prompt?
I think Florida Man in Exodus would be. I just had this image of God and Moses doing all the hard work, freeing everybody from slavery, getting them out of Egypt, getting to the border of Egypt, and Florida Man just saying, no, we're going to build a wall. You can't come in. You've got to stay in Egypt and remain slaves.
Well, yeah, I think, it's something I was thinking like maybe the story of Samson or something, like Florida Man breaks down local buildings after hair growth or something like that.
Last week's question of the week was a headline made from a Bible story using Florida Man. In the number 3 spot, we have Florida Man gets so high he hears a donkey talk. It's a real Bible story, y'all. It's a real Bible story. And remember, Answers in Genesis has a whole page about how that donkey really did talk. They teach kids that. And then number 2, we've got Florida Man, after leaving Sodom and Gomorrah, gets high on wife salts. Another real Bible story, y'all. A woman's woman's home was burning to the ground, and she looked at it, and she got turned into a pillar of salt, and her family couldn't even turn around to look at her and grieve. Otherwise, they might be turned into pillars of who knows what spice. And then we've got number one headline, Florida man gets eaten by a whale, says he plans on staying to avoid the Florida heat. We can understand that one. That one's all good.
We want the truth, so watch Truth Wanted live Friday at 7 p.m. Central. Visit tiny.cc/YTTW and call into the show at 512-991-9242 or connect to the show online at tiny.cc/calltw.